So now we have a question about political correctness.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about political correctness?
Is there anything correct about anything political? I think political correctness. Well, it's a saying. Political correctness. I mean, there's lots of things that are not correct about the world, and I think you should just speak your mind. And whether it's politically correct or incorrect, I think you should speak your mind. So I think really, it doesn't really mean much to me, political correctness.
Okay. So what is more important, avoiding offending, insulting, or hurting someone's feelings,
Mm-hmm.
or protecting your family and friends?
So repeat that again.
So what's more important, avoiding offence, so avoiding offending someone,
Uh-huh.
insulting or hurting someone's feelings,
Uh-huh.
or protecting your family and friends?
I think you need to protect your family and friends, and if it's going to offend people, well, so be it. People will get offended. As I say, some people live their lives offended. They don't know life unless they're offended, so they will just get offended by anything. Whether it's someone cutting them off in the street, or whether it's the fact that it's raining or it's sunny, or whatever it is. People create drama. A lot of people create drama over tiny things anyway. So I think the thing is not to worry about offending anyone. I think protecting your family is very important. And if people get offended, well, that's them choosing to get offended. It's not you actually making them offended. People will get offended regardless.
Okay, now we have personal power and personal pronouns. So if I told you that I wanted you to use specific personal pronouns and terms of address when you talk to me, would you do that?
For example?
So rather than, let's say I identify as a woman.
Uh-huh.
So I want you to refer to me as she.
Uh-huh.
But let's say I identify as one of those other genders, and I say, I don't want you to refer to me as he or she, I want you to refer to me as Z, or something like that. Would you do that?
Well, if someone wanted me to address them in a certain way, I guess I would respect that. If I respected that person and that friendship, I would address them in that way. If that's how they wanted to be addressed, whether I thought it made sense or didn't make sense. For example, if you said to address you as a she, right now I see you as a he, so that would kind of be weird for me. So I would probably express that to you. I'd say, well, that's a little bit strange, but if you really want to be known as a she, then, I'll address you as a she.
Okay.
However, it would feel weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I told you that I identify as a woman, would you believe me?
Yeah, I think that's an individual choice. I mean, if you're saying that that's how you identify, who am I to say that you don't? I'd believe you if that's what you told me.
So if I told you that I identify as a 6-year-old girl, would you believe me?
Yeah, if that's how you felt you identified, and if you told me, then
Being interviewed by a 6-year-old girl.
I know, it sounds weird, right? It sounds weird, but you don't know. People have all sorts of kinky little things going on in the background.
So if I told you that I'm a 6-year-old girl who came to Earth from Mars, would you believe me?
I'd believe that that's your belief of yourself. It would be hard for me to picture you that way, coming from Mars. But if you tell me that's what you identify with and that's what you believe, I would say, well, either see a shrink, right? Or where did you get that information from? Or just go along with it and say, okay, well, that's very nice for you, dear, that you feel that way. And where did this come from? I'd probably dig a bit further and find out, where did this relation with Mars come from? And, why is it that you feel that way? I'd probably dig further and try to discover more about that.
And if I told you that I'm a 6-year-old Martian girl who is 7 feet tall, would you believe me?
You could be in your mind. I could say, well, you don't look like that. However, I can get that in your mind, you can visualise that you are any way you want. Because I do believe anything's possible, right? So if you visualise that that's how you are, then I'd say, well, that's great. I'm really happy for you, and I hope that works for you.
It's cool. There was an American woman and another guy, and they did a video in America on some university campuses where they went around and asked these questions of people.
Right.
And it was really interesting because most people would not actually, they just wouldn't be in sensory-based reality. They look, come on.
Right.
You're not a Martian.
Yeah.
You're not 7 foot tall. They just said, oh, well, if you feel that way, if that's how it is.
Yeah.
So they weren't willing to actually to say what they actually saw in front of them.
Right.
Whereas you actually are. You go, okay. But then you go, oh, yeah, but let's ask some questions.
Yeah.
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 Well,
you don't look that way. Although I guess I respect if someone says they feel a certain way, I respect that they say that they feel that way because I don't really know how they feel. You know, they're the only ones that can really say how they feel. So I don't know for sure. I could say, well, you definitely don't look that way. However, it's interesting that you feel that way. What is it that's made you feel this way? You know, maybe dig a bit further, or maybe not. Maybe just say, well, that's great. I'm happy for you. I hope that works for you.
And there are 45-year-old men, transgenders. It's okay. It's cool. When they say they identify as a 6-year-old girl, you know, it starts to get a little bit weird because here we are, we're two adults.
Yeah.
So the person reckons he's identifying as a 6-year-old. Can he drive a car? Can a 6-year-old drive a car?
Sure.
Can they, you know, buy a house? Can they do this? Can they do that? Because now they're actually claiming to be a minor. And so you get this weird sort of like contradiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, there's people with fantasies that want to, you know, they want to wear nappies and want to wear bibs and be bossed around like a, you know, or want to, you know, have a mother figure as a fantasy. You know, I mean, there's things like that. So I think at different moments, people can feel different things or go into different roles in life at different moments to satisfy, you know, whatever they're satisfying or whatever repressed emotions are there from their childhood, perhaps. Which is what I'd say if someone said that they wanted to wear nappies and you know have a mother figure as a sexual fantasy. Well, I'd say, well, what happened in your childhood? You know, I'd probably kind of dig there and go, well, okay, that's interesting that you want to feel that and want to live that out. I would probably imagine that they had some kind of suppressed childhood or didn't feel nurtured as a child, and so hence they have these fantasies. So people do take on different roles as ways to survive life, and they say often that we run around in life like 3-year-old children anyway. Often people are like 3-year-olds running around with their reactions to things, and you know their little temper tantrums, you know. So a lot of people do act like 3-year-olds anyway, although they're not maybe conscious of it. But when people have temper tantrums and when they carry on like pork chops, as I say, often they're behaving like a 3-year-old or someone up to the age of 7.
So next question is about personal power and safe spaces. What is more important to you, to have a safe space where you can hide away from the world, or to learn how to toughen up?
I think learn how to toughen up, because that's what life's all about. I mean, I'm all about stepping out of my comfort zone. As hard and as challenging as it is, that's the only way you're going to grow and experience life to the full, experience the richness of life, is by stepping out of your comfort zone and by toughening up and becoming a stronger person within. And like, you know, really in the past, I have been very offended by people saying bad things about me, right? I used to take things to heart and I always wanted to please everybody. And, you know, this was a big thing that I did, you know, growing up. And what I realised is I actually wasn't being true to myself. And I realised also that people's opinions of me are none of my business, because people are going to have their opinions anyway. So the thing is for me to be as true as I can to who I am, to speak my truth, to live life to the full as I want to live it. And if people like that or don't like that, well, that's their opinion. And, you know, I don't really care what their opinion is. That's their opinion. Whether they like it or not, I think you've got to be true to yourself.
Absolutely. This question's about rights. So if someone breaks into your home, do you have the right to defend yourself, your family and your property?
Well, I believe you do, yes, because your home is your sacred space, and anyone breaking into your home would make you feel unsafe. So I think, you know, you need to protect your sanctuary of your home. And, you know, and at the end of the day, nothing is forever anyway, right? Your home, I guess your home really is your body. I mean, if you really go into another level, your home is your body. You come into the planet naked, you leave naked, and at the end of the day, our house and our possessions are all on loan until the day we die. So, however, while you're in the house, it is your sanctuary. It's your sanctuary outside of your body. And I think absolutely you should protect yourself, because if you feel unsafe, if someone breaks in and they've got an axe or a knife or a gun, you need to protect your safety, because you clearly want to live past that day.
So should people be allowed the freedom to protect themselves, or should the power be held by the government?
No, I think people should absolutely, people should be able to protect their freedom. Not because the government's very unreliable, as we've found, and the government's full of sociopaths and psychopaths. I mean, how can you trust them for anything, really?
Next question is about boundaries. So what is more important, bridges or walls?
I think bridges are more important. I think finding a way to cross over to the other side rather than putting walls up, I think is more important. And it comes down to the unity and diversity question, you know.
So, yeah. So what are the possible outcomes from building a bridge?
Well, a bridge connects people. A bridge allows you to go from one area to another, whereas a wall stops you in your tracks. So a bridge actually allows a flow through.
What are the potential consequences from building a bridge?
Well, it could collapse. The bridge could collapse if it's not built strong. Okay, so you need a solid bridge that's going to be...
Let's say it's a solid bridge.
Okay, so the consequences could be, well, you could be opening the gate to elements you don't want. Okay, now if we look at the boat people, for example, now there's people that love the boat people and people that don't love the boat people. Okay, now I guess in many ways Australia has opened up a bridge to the boat people to allow boat people in and to allow political refugees in, and in some cases that's turned out really awful and in some cases it's turned out okay. So I think if you are going to open a bridge with something like that, I think you need to be able to manage it in a way that those people can assimilate into society and learn to work a way to live life according to the culture of that society. So, for example, fanatic Muslims, okay, that believe in suicide bombing, that believe Christians are infidels, and that they can, if they kill an infidel, as in anyone who's Christian or not Muslim, or Buddhist or Hindu or whatever, that they will go to heaven if they kill that person. I mean, I think that's quite scary because it's, even though it is, okay, celebrating diversity, okay, it's great to have diversity. In some instances, though, that is quite evil. I think that is quite an evil thing in the Quran, and I think bombing people just for the sake of bombing and bombing yourself, suicide bombing, I think is scary. I think that's very scary, and I think certain things like that need to be outlawed because it means people will die unnecessarily because of someone's political beliefs.
Okay, so what are the possible outcomes from building a wall?
Possible outcomes of building a wall? Well, the outcomes are you keep... Well, this is interesting. So the whole house thing, building walls. Okay, well, in some ways you feel safe within the wall. Okay, so like, for example, if you look at this place here, okay, you look at the house here, we feel safe on the inside because no one right now can just walk in from outside. Okay, so an outcome could be that you feel safe within that area. A negative is that you're not seeing the whole world. You're not seeing it. You're limited within your little sphere. You're limited. It's like you're in a bubble, and you're limited within that bubble. So I think the bubble's fine, but I think every now and then you need to step outside the bubble and look at what's out there and look at exploring and growing that bubble and growing and expanding and learning as you go. And then if you want to retreat back into the bubble, you can, or back into behind the walls. You retreat back in the walls if you like. However, I think it's important to step out of the walls and not just stay there because it's not a way to grow and to expand in life.
So does a boundary keep you safe, or does it interfere with the rights of others to freely move around?
Well, it does both, I think. I think it keeps you safe on the inside and it limits other people from coming in right now, for example.
So should you have the freedom to walk through someone's backyard?
No, I don't think so, because the way the world's been set up, I guess, is that people own their space of land, or they have their little sanctuary where they feel comfortable, where they can do whatever they want pretty much within that block of land, and you don't generally just want random people walking in the backyard. I mean, there's a safety factor there.
Should you have the freedom to walk through someone's house?
Not without their permission, I don't think. I think you've got to respect that someone's house is someone's house. Otherwise, all houses would be open slather, and we'd have, doors open, everyone would just share everything like a big commune, which does happen in many areas. People have commune, open living like that, and that works in some communities. In fact, there's a group called The Community that lives exactly like that. However, I don't like that idea.
Should you have the freedom to prevent others from walking through your backyard?
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah. Because it's private land for a reason. It's known as private land for a reason. So if we were going to open our backyards to other people, I think it would change the whole way that we do life right now. I think, why not just all live in the bush and just, just go back to, riding horses around and just, and just have open houses for everybody. I mean, it just... it doesn't really make sense to me to do that because there's a safety factor.
Okay. So, this is a closing question. In life, if you could have one moment of being the most beautiful, an adored woman in the world, or you could have lifelong power, which would it be?
Oh, lifelong power for sure. Lifelong power, absolutely. Yeah, lifelong power, because it's a way of living. And it's long-term satisfaction as opposed to short-term gratification. And I think that's the thing is to always look at the long-term picture and not just be a star for a day, because that will die. And I would like the star to shine bright forever, or as long as possible, on the planet. And if you believe in the afterlife, well, in the afterlife. I think really it's about the journey. It's not about a moment of fame or a moment of being the most adored person in the world. It is a journey. Life is a journey, and I think it is all about embracing the roller coaster of life, and riding the roller coaster and staying on that roller coaster with all the ups and downs, with all the unexpected twists and turns. Everything teaches us something, as hard as certain situations can be. We learn from everything. Everyone's our teacher in some way, and we are a student and vice versa. And I think the thing is really in life to embrace that and to embrace what life presents and enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for watching.
Please take a moment to like and subscribe, remembering to click on the bell. Then check the comments box below to join our team of patrons and crew. And you can always find me on Facebook at the Peace Mapping Group. The link is in the comments box. And once again, thanks and all the best to you.